Greetings everyone, and welcome to LEGO Rewind, where we take another look at old retired LEGO themes. Today is another patron-sponsored episode, this one brought to you by Maniac for Bricks. This one's gonna be a little off topic. We're not looking at any one trope or theme today. We're here to answer a question that has plagued many a LEGO historian for some time. What was LEGO's craziest year? Depends on who you ask. I know some would point to 2014. That was pretty wild. You had the LEGO movie, all the sets associated with it, LEGO's demographic exploded, their sales skyrocketed. It was that final push after a decade of slowly climbing from the brink of bankruptcy that propelled them to the position they enjoy now. But that's too easy. See, I'm not looking for LEGO's best year. I'm looking for their craziest year. Maybe we could start with some of the advancements LEGO's made. There's the interlocking bricks themselves in 1949, the only set that year. Last episode we covered Technic, which started in 1977, and that's seen many evolutions over the decades. There's the debut of minifigures a year later. That was a big turning point in LEGO history. There's also Fabuland and its minifigs the next year, though those didn't have the same staying power, which I guess doesn't really matter. We're looking for 1 year, not 40 plus years. Could it be 1989, when they introduced firearms? Could it be 1996, when they introduced realistic firearms? 1997, when they started putting out their own dolls? Or 1998, the year of Snap? Nah, we gotta go bigger. You can't point at any one thing like, oh, this is the year the anime one came out, or this is the one with balls. We gotta find the highest output in a given year with the greatest disregard for consistency. Which may sound like a challenge, but I think the best place to look is in LEGO's Dark Age, the late 90s and early 2000s. Now to just narrow it down from there. 1995 through 1999 have no shortage of mad themes, but it's a lot of the same themes carrying over year after year. Underwater sets, space sets, castle sets, western, pirates, you know, all the cool stuff we don't see much nowadays. There's no one exceptionally strange year, it's just a few years that blend together. It's remarkably consistent, which isn't what we're looking for. 1999 picks up some speed with Star Wars, the first full licensed theme, a good number of video games, Rock Raiders, Technic hit peak weirdness, but that's about it. 2000, now that year was a vibe. Even outside of LEGO, I swear everything got stranger for a little bit. It almost doesn't feel real. Like, I have concrete nostalgia for the 90s and the aughts, but 2000 itself is like a dream now. Robo-Riders feels a bit like that. Race feels like that. Action Wheelers. There was Arctic. Dino Island gave us several dinosaurs, including the classic green T-Rex. Studios premiered with one set to its name and one under the Education banner. The first Ultimate Collector Series sets, builds that big and detailed were unprecedented. The sculptures line, that was neat, with a Statue of Liberty and a giant minifig. There were those minifig packs with the cards and stands. The Mickey Mouse line, telecom, pens. Yeah, wow, 2000 wasn't all that spectacular of a year, huh? Just kinda came and went. You know, maybe we're too far back. Let's jump right around the time of LEGO's near bankruptcy. 2005 had Dino Attack, that was a try-hard theme. Vikings, Tiny Turbos, those brick-built Bionicle sets, Star Wars changing the way LEGO video games play for all time. But nothing too crazy in its own right. Just another solid year. 2004, LEGO almost died. You'd think just that would qualify this year, or 2003, but that was all behind the scenes. We wouldn't learn about LEGO's troubles until years later. From our perspective, what we saw on shelves felt like a pretty standard year. 2003 gave us those sports minifigs with the springy legs, long arms, and uncanny faces. The Holiday Jet, all 13 of it. This guy. Adventures Ends with a Bang. Clickets. This guy. Little robots. And Bionicle Mask of Light, LEGO's first ever feature-length movie. This was a big deal. New territory for the company that would definitely be done very differently in the 2010s. This episode's actually not been that crazy so far. 2002. Okay, this might be it. 2002 had an attitude like no other. We saw some big advancements that year, like the creation of short legs and curves. I talked about this in the Racers episode, but to reiterate, LEGO had been very bricky up till then. and other companies made fun of them being so square as far back as the 70s.
Which would your child think looks more like a real ship, this one, or a ship built with Tenty, the new kind of building bricks? And look at one of their space buggies, and one of ours. With Tenty, what your child builds looks just like what he wants it to be. Tenty has curved pieces and special shapes. Tenty, 21 new realistic building toys from Hasbro, each sold separately.
Tenty is a snap to be a better builder.
Look at all that single-use plastic garbage. People say Lego's too specialized these days, then point to pretty basic utilitarian parts as examples. If anything, they were much more situational molds in the 90s, which Lego stopped producing shortly before rolling these out. And these became the new face of Lego for a time. You see them take over all sorts of themes. Star Wars, Alpha Team, it's like the whole brand got a makeover. On the fringe, there was Spybotics, a cool candy-coated quartet of programmable RCs. My Own Creation, Explore, which was a mishmash of Duplo and Primo. Lego Island Extreme Stunts gave us characters like Pepperoni and the Brickster from the Lego Island video games in plastic form. There was Drome Racers, an offshoot of the previous year's Vanilla Racers. This line was huge, covering so many different bases at once, even Technic. Some musical toys that could be seen as that era's video. This Audi Roadster may look innocent, but it's a criminal, using illegal building techniques that prompted some changes in Lego's design department and model committee for greater durability in future sets. The Brickbuster Super Truck is the first set Lego ever recalled because its axles were harming kids during play. And all of this was punctuated by one of the strangest themes Lego ever invested in, Galador. This was Lego's most infamous, ill-fated, and expensive attempt to infiltrate other toy aisles. It had a live-action show and everything. Man, just look at these sets. I don't think I've ever handled one of them in person, but I kinda want to. You'd think I'd have made a Galador episode by now. People hate this theme, but I just can't be mad at it. It was there for a year and it died. Big deal. It didn't destroy or ruin Lego forever, though there were certainly fears of that happening at the time. It also sorta introduced the fluid play Lego keeps trying to make a thing these days, with the Keck Powerizer, a giant electronic monstrosity. Okay, so it's a weird theme, but is 2002 the weirdest year? I've described it as such in the past, but now I'm not so sure. There are a number of themes that many people have come to associate with 2002 as emblematic of this transformative era. Jack Stone, My Own Train, Life on Mars, Harry Potter. But these are 2001 themes. Spoiler alert, this is it, the craziest year in Lego history. Life on Mars was a trailblazer, lots of unique colors that wouldn't outlive the theme for long, like sand red and sand purple. The Martian mechs were pretty diverse, not sticking to any one color scheme like you'd usually see in a space theme, and it was the first to feature multiple factions, the other being stranded astronauts, who rather than fight the Martians, worked together with them. This is the only time we've ever seen a dynamic like that in space. It also introduced pumps and tubes to zip figures around, and the builds encouraged an interconnectivity never seen before. And it was the last space theme for a good few years. My Own Train might be the most customizable Lego line out of the box, as train enthusiasts could pick different colors and sizes for their engines, and a good range of different cars. I think this is where Lego Trains as a concept peaked. Alpha Team was another video game brought to life in set form, beating Lego Island to the punch, and the road to making it happen was, well, you can check out the Alpha Team episode for that. It's a pretty crazy story. Jack Stone gave little kids an extra step between Duplo and Big Kid Lego, and people hated this one, almost if not as much as Galador, even someone in the company supposedly saying this was the worst thing they'd ever made. But again, I think the hate is unwarranted. This and Creator each included a VHS special. Not nearly feature length, but I guess you could consider these the first Lego movies. A year before Short Legs, Harry Potter gave us the first minifig head to feature a second face printed on the back. Studios enjoyed a proper launch full of sets, also peaking this year, and giving young future YouTubers a head start. Zooters were a thing with suction cups and sound action. The Xalax Racers were weird little guys. I wish I knew about this dragon before I made the Dragons episode. The Dinosaurs line gave us a bunch of new action figure-like molds, which would also be used for later animals like elephants. Then there was gonna be this car, I mean a real car, with buildable Lego surfaces inside. It was cancelled. And Lego re-released a bunch of older sets that year, from Castle and Town and Pirates. It was something they tried out that year, and I think they stopped after 2002, as a lot of those older molds were being scuttled, making this the last time you'd see many of these sets on shelves. If this seems a little all over the place, yeah, that's what it felt like, and it was glorious. But we can't leave out the theme I believe most of you associate with 2001. Okay, look, I already talked about this one for 79 minutes. I won't make this long, but it needs to be said how much was poured into this theme, how much was writing on it. It had everything, and I mean everything. It was LEGO's answer to Pokemon, and it paid off, but it did land them in trouble for appropriating some very important elements of the Maori language, forcing them to rename a few things. It worked out for the best though, as LEGO would be more sensitive creating future themes. I feel like 2001 is when the new LEGO really took shape. I used to believe 2002 was LEGO's craziest year, but it really only had the Curves and Gallader going for it. Between those and lines like Jack Stone and Bionicle, people were worried about the company's future. Even if they didn't know about LEGO's financial troubles, the adults and older kids in the room could see something was off. It was a couple of crazy years, a time that reeked of that desperation I was looking for, and 2001 was the epitome of it. Not for any one theme, but the whole chaotic package. 2001 is when I really became a LEGO fan, and because of that, I've always downplayed this year in my head, not wanting to be blinded by nostalgia and overcorrecting as a result. But upon closer inspection, yeah, this was it. This was the craziest year. There'll never be another like it. Then again, maybe LEGO's craziest year hasn't even happened yet. To any future children watching this, or anyone else, what would you say was LEGO's craziest year? That's it for today. Special thanks to Joey for sponsoring this episode. To support my work, check out my books at Amazon and itch.io, and my Patreon page where you'll see these videos a week early, your name in the credits, patron-exclusive content, a patron-exclusive Discord server, and if you're like Maniac for Bricks, your own LEGO Rewind episode. See you next time. Toodles.
Mania. It's building like crazy. The LEGO collection, each set sold separately, batteries not included.